Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being a music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And we have a brand new song review for you today, and it's the latest track by Bleachers, and that's Everybody Lost Somebody. So I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. Now going into this track, I can't say I know anything about the Bleachers, or Bleachers however they want to be referred to. I know it's both a band and the onstage title of Jack, the singer, sort of songwriter, producer behind the group, so it's just going to be really difficult for me to actually refer to the group. You know, do I refer to them as them or him, as both words are technically correct and technically incorrect. But back onto the point, shall we see what I thought of this brand new track? Well, I hate to coin such a useless and corny phrase, but I'm pretty much in love with this track. For such a sort of cheesy and fun song, I didn't expect to really connect with it quite as much as I did, quite as much as I am right now. It just has this character and poise behind it that makes it so relatable and so genuine. And I think that's incredibly important for a track like this, not to lose your audience. The 80s and early 90s influence is obvious within this track as well, with the vocal dramatization in particular, sounding reminiscent of groups like Spandau Ballet and even Go West and that sort of era of groups. Maybe even ABC can be added onto that list. Whilst we are on the topic as well, the vocal performance really makes the track for me. Without the frenetic and bold notes that he just throws out there pretty effortlessly throughout this track, and his natural tone as well, I doubt this song would have had that sincerity or weight needed to make a track like this work, but it was there, so we don't have to frown upon that at all. Already I can state that this is a must listen in this review, and the rest of the review will only basically reinforce that statement. When it comes to the production of this track, it's actually pretty simplistic, or rather just your typical pop-like mix. It has these horns that are surprisingly bassy actually, adding a dominant instrumental melody into many of the track's sort of bigger transitions. I think it was important to add something like that. I always moan about this not being added to many pop tracks, but it worked really well here. The percussion is all electronic too, with this really wholesome and deep, really impactful kick, filling the stereo field up really nicely, whilst this slightly canny sounding snare adds impact to the mid-ground. The snare could have been a little bit louder, it could have been a little bit more cutting, but then I don't want it to unbalance the mix at all, because I think it was really well balanced. The guitars don't have the most identifiable tones and rather just fill gaps in the mix, in the stereo field. They do sound more like pads, but when they do combine with the actual pads within this track, they actually create this very glossy and surprisingly soothing texture. Despite all the impact and power which I keep mentioning within this track, it's actually still fairly watery and smooth as well. The vocals obtain a little bit of reverb and a slightly modified EQ, but they do the job for me, and all in all, it's just a really good mix. It's solid, it's really professionally executed. Musicality wise, the song definitely does the basics really well. It has a memorable, catchy hook, a fantastic instrumental melody that pops up at the right times throughout this mix, doesn't repeat too often either, a simplistic yet fun bass line, big bolstered percussion, and it has a great vocal performance that is incredibly stylistic and individualized. The piano is more decorative than sort of progression driven, since it seems more randomized from verse to verse, and I think that actually complements the falsetto-like vocals really well, adding a more experimental / exploratory influence into the track, just to add to the huge collection of influences we already have. The song also really builds well, as everything is only really repeated when necessary, and each time around there is something different or something new added. It's just a very sort of professionally executed track, and one that has just been written really well. Lyrically, I definitely related to this song, and for something so fun and easygoing in its approach, there is a backdrop of something a little more weighted and sincere within here. As sort of a sincere meaning behind this song. In the right situation, you could find this song maybe even more moving rather than just being that fun time I mentioned earlier. And on different listens to this track, my first listen it was just fun, the second listen was a bit more moving. So all in all, it's a great track, and I shall definitely have to give Bleachers a more in-depth listen in the future, just go through their albums perhaps. So I gave it a G rating of 8 out of 10, which is well above average. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, comment what you think in the comment section down below, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.